My name is Suzanne Woodman. I'm an assistant principal here, and it is my pleasure to welcome you tonight. At this time, I'd like to introduce our principal and graduate, Mr. Andrew Greenfield.
Good evening and welcome to the 16th Annual Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame ceremony. Once again, I am honored and privileged to be celebrating 8 more outstanding inductees into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. 37 years ago, I graduated Port Richmond High School. 23 years ago, I came back to work here as an assistant principal, and for the last 7 years, I have had the honor to serve as Port Richmond's only appointed principal that graduated from our great school. Although I've spent half my life walking the halls of Port Richmond, it wasn't until 16 years ago that I began to realize just how amazing our alumni truly are. When former Principal Tim Gannon first suggested the idea of a Port Richmond Hall of Fame, I thought, that's a great idea, but do we really have enough qualified candidates to fill a Hall of Fame? Now, 16 years later and 89 inductees later, I am awestruck at the impressive achievements of the 81 people that have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame and the 8 more that are being inducted this evening. Who would have thought that this small school hidden under the shadow of the Bayonne Bridge would produce 2 city council members, countless educational leaders, physicians, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, military officers, federal agents, rock musicians, entertainment moguls, world-renowned performers in music, dance, theater, television, and movies, professional athletes, Olympic athletes, community leaders, business entrepreneurs, restaurateurs, philanthropists, Pulitzer Prize-winning authors, and 2 dedicated police officers who gave their lives serving the citizens of New York City. Before us this evening are 8 more amazing individuals whose backgrounds and stories will move and inspire you. Tonight you will hear about a family of business entrepreneurs who have been serving the Port Richmond community for almost a century. A labor leader and worker advocate who has dedicated his life to advocating for workers' rights and protections. A former educator, mentor, and coach that was breaking the glass ceiling as a female teacher and coach decades before people were talking about glass ceilings. A West Point graduate and Army officer who exemplifies service and leadership in every facet of his life. And last but certainly not least, a former nationally ranked student athlete that went on to compete in the Ivy League while also pursuing a career in music. Tonight, we will also be honoring a few current staff members who have achieved the milestone of working at Port Richmond High School for 20 years. It is fitting that next week is National Teacher Appreciation Week, where we get to celebrate staff members who have dedicated their careers to improving the lives of our students. These 10 staff members are no exception and have spent all or most of their careers dedicated to the students of Port Richmond High School. I always tell people that of all the ceremonies Port Richmond holds throughout the school year, this is my favorite because I go home glowing and proud to be a graduate of this amazing school. Before I go, I want to recognize the hard work of a few key people that helped to make this day possible. First, I'd like to thank our amazing Alumni Association for their generosity, cooperation in making this day happen. Thank you to former Alumni President John Jankowski, who along with former Principal Tim Gannon started the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. Thank you to my amazing administrative assistant, Shannon Claudio, for helping to organize this entire event, her constant communication with our inductees and honored guests, and most importantly, for some reason, Shannon's the first person that's able to manage me, so I thank you. Thank you to our coordinator of student activities and fellow Port Richmond alum, Mr. Vincent Meduno, for his tireless dedication to our school and for the work he and his TV media students did in putting together the video tributes of our inductees that you're going to see tonight. Thank you to our talented cheerleaders, musicians, and performers that you saw and heard today. And thank you to our amazing culinary arts students and staff who are going to blow your socks off at the end of the ceremony. Lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention two outstanding Port Richmond alum that we lost this year. I'd like to take a moment to recognize alumni board member Gary Lane, who we lost this year, and Hall of Fame member David Johansen. I thank them both for epitomizing everything that is great about Port Richmond and the legacy our graduates leave behind. Congratulations to all of our inductees, and once again, I am humbled to be in your presence and proud to share the distinction of being a graduate of our amazing school. Thank you.
So we are going to jump ahead to our first inductees. So would students Yasmin and Zena please escort the Denino family?
The Denino dynasty began when Giovanni, also known as John, and Mary Denino opened a confectionery store on the corner of Hooker Place and Richmond Avenue. In 1937, Denino's opened a full tavern at 524 Richmond Avenue, now called Port Richmond Avenue. The Denino children were attending Port Richmond High School. V attended here. Rose graduated in 1937, Carlo in 1942, Catherine in 1947, and Palma in 1968. While they were attending school, they all took turns working at the confectionery. In 1943, Carlo Denino joined the Navy as a shipfitter. He saw a lot on the USS Elmore and earned several medals for his bravery. When he returned from the Navy, he worked as a welder. Carlo took over the daily functions of the tavern when his father passed away in 1951.
If you needed anything, he would just, here it is. It's, you can just take what you need. I'll give you what you need. Anything to help out you and your family. Great guy.
Carlo enjoyed interacting with the customers and the community feeling that he and his family created.
When you do walk in here, most of the times everybody knows each other.
Rose was the matriarch of her family. She's the one who actually probably inspired John to open up Bella Mama's. I know Michelle took a lot of control over there when it was open. Rose was, she was our hostess for many years. She was a waitress while I was working. She was a great lady also.
Palma Denino began attending Port Richmond High School in 1964. Palma and Carlo met through mutual neighborhood friends in the late 1970s and began dating. They married in 1981. Palma worked at the restaurant while raising her family.
Everybody loves her. She walks in, she lights the place up, so, it's Palma.
Catherine worked on the restaurant on a regular basis, as well as Rose and Aunt Laura. Carlo's son, Michael Denino, opened Denino's Pizza Place in Aberdeen, New Jersey. Palma, along with Michael and Suzanne Burke, renovated the current location in Staten Island twice to increase the dining room and kitchen space. Denino's currently boasts a 3,000 square foot kitchen and a 250-seat dining room, in addition to their beloved bar. In 2010, the Denino family made the move to open an additional location in Brick, New Jersey, called Denino South. Michael Burke runs the day-to-day operations for Denino Staten Island and Denino South. There are currently 2 Denino's franchises, one in Greenwich Village, New York, and one in Thousand Oaks, California. Earlier this year, the Denino family lost another well-known face of the restaurant when Carlo Denino passed away unexpectedly. Carlo was well known throughout the community as one of the faces in the Denino dynasty. Over its many years, Denino's has received multiple accolades, including the Pizza Hall of Fame. Denino's has donated innumerable amounts of food and pizzas to organizations in need.
They help with jobs for kids who are in high school and in college. During Sandy, they stepped up and gave a lot of food out. 9/11, they were handing out a lot of food for the firemen and EMS and the police.
For the family to be recognized for all the good that they did for the community, it's a great thing.
In recognition of their entrepreneurial spirit and their contributions to the Port Richmond community, the Denino family is being honored as inductees into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
I would like to thank Principal Greenfield, the Alumni Hall of Fame Committee, and all the staff and students that made all this possible. To all the teachers I had, I want to say thank you for helping make me what I am today. To be nominated alongside all these accomplished individuals is a great honor. I'm sorry that my family is not here to enjoy this. Denino's has been serving the island for 100 years and serving pizza for 74 years. My family would be very proud that we have continued to grow all these years. I would like to thank all our customers because without them, we wouldn't be here. To all the students, Port Richmond has a lot to offer. Take advantage of it all. It will pay off in the end. I am fortunate that many of the friends I made in high school are still my friends. I am honored to be a part of this school. Thank you.
Okay, our next inductee is a labor leader and worker advocate, Denis M. Hughes, who will be led to the stage by student Chase Olson.
Denis M. Hughes was born and raised in Staten Island. While attending Port Richmond High School, he began working after school at Major's Department Store, where he joined the Retail Clerks Union. Unbeknownst to him, this was the beginning of his lifelong career. After he graduated Port Richmond in 1968, he joined the Navy Reserve, where he served on active and inactive duty until he was honorably discharged at age 19. He then began working as an electrician apprentice and became a member of Local Union 3, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. While working, Mr. Hughes attended Empire State College and earned a bachelor's degree in labor studies. Upon completion of his apprenticeship in 1975, Mr. Hughes became an A journeyman electrician. In 1985, Mr. Hughes took a big step and joined the New York State American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations. Mr. Hughes was responsible for the coordination of the COPE and legislative programs, as well as the overall policy and development of the staff departments within the state federation. In February of 1990, Mr. Hughes was appointed to the position of executive assistant to the president, where he acted as a union lobbyist within the federation. He was then elected president of the New York State AFL-CIO in 1999, where he was then re-elected to serve an additional 4 terms.
The labor movement is very resourceful. We know how to negotiate, and we know how to protect the needs of the people we represent.
In 2000, under Mr. Hughes' leadership, the New York State AFL-CIO formed the State Federation's Arts and Entertainment Industry Committee. In 2001, Mr. Hughes led the way for New York State to become the first state federation in the country to adopt and implement the New Alliance Initiative. This historic restructuring of the labor movement consolidated labor's economic, political, and legislative forces on a local level. While working at the New York State AFL-CIO, Mr. Hughes was also appointed to several other positions, including the Board of Directors for the New York Federal Reserve Bank for 7 years, serving as chairman from 2009 to 2011. Following the 9/11 tragedy, Mr. Hughes coordinated labor's successful efforts to secure $20 billion in federal funding to help rebuild New York City and New York State, as well as securing the passage of the James Zadroga 9/11 Health Care and Compensation Act, which provides necessary funding for treatment and medical care for 9/11's heroes and first responders. Denis Hughes has been a tireless advocate on behalf of working men and women throughout New York State for more than 25 years. As the president of New York's AFL-CIO, Denis Hughes embodied the very essence of the labor movement, fighting to improve the lives of working people everywhere. For his extensive work, the New York State AFL-CIO named their main conference room the Denis M. Hughes Conference Center in 2024. He was also honored in 2012 by SAG-AFTRA for his work in forming the committee, as well as many other accolades. Mr. Hughes is currently a senior operating partner at Stone Peak Infrastructure and also served on Cornell University's Board of Trustees as a member of the university's Standing Committee on Government Relations and Alumni Affairs and Development. In recognition of his numerous contributions to New York State workers in all capacities, Mr. Denis M. Hughes is being honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
Well, first I want to thank Port Richmond High School for this extraordinary honor, an honor that I never dreamed I'd be nominated to. I want to congratulate the other honorees. It's an extraordinary group of people. but particularly Colonel Pride and Mr. Zinke, and of course, the Denino family. And of the Denino family, my, of course, beloved Palma Denino. Palma Denino was my high school sweetheart. I took Palma to the prom. She was my prom date. And I am just so honored, more than anything else, to be honored with her here tonight. Palma? I want to just also acknowledge all my friends, relatives. There's so many people here. I know I'd leave somebody out, but particularly my granddaughter, Frances, who is here, and I'm just so proud that you're here to see this, friend, and my daughter, Jennifer, and everybody else that comes with this. Now, I want to just share something with the students that are here, whoever you are. You know, over 60 years ago, maybe 61 years ago, I walked through these doors, and I had a simple plan. My simple plan was to get a high school diploma, don't get arrested, join the service, or go into service, come out of the service, get an honorable discharge, get a good job, get married, and have kids. That was it. That's as far as I thought or could conceive that I would ever go. But I made a terrible mistake in just accepting that mundane existence that I thought was only available to me. You see, as the years went on, I found out that I could do other things. And I realized what a failure it was to have that attitude about my time here at Port Richmond High School. It was an absolute failure. But I learned from that failure. I learned that you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you have. And I did. And I learned another thing too. You can't, nobody can, predict your future. But you can invent your future by being skilled, by taking advantage, by listening to advice, good advice. And I want to say, not all advice you're going to get is going to be good. But good advice, go out of your way to make good decisions, and make sure you do whatever you can to live a life without regret. And if you follow those simple rules, you'll get through this. And you'll enjoy yourself, and you'll be a much more positive influence on the rest of your community, your family, your friends, and you'll have the life that you hope you would have. So thank you, Port Richmond High School. Thank you, everyone that's here, those friends of mine that came out, and I can't tell you how honored I am to accept this honor. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like student Ariana Slavin to please bring up Ms. Petra Catella, who will represent Mildred Hanisch.
Mildred E. Hanisch was a native Staten Islander born on March 6, 1906 in the Rosebank section of Staten Island. Her love of sports began early as she was an outstanding student athlete. Miss Hanisch was the captain of the girls' basketball, swimming, hockey, and track teams while in high school. She received her bachelor's degree in health education from Ithaca College and completed her graduate work at Columbia University, Wagner College, and Hunter College. Miss Hanisch was assigned to Port Richmond High School in February 1932.
She was totally invested in the life of Port Richmond High School on many, many levels.
Miss Hanisch spearheaded a program that was very ahead of its time, where a legally blind student was able to attend Port Richmond and receive their diploma.
Change did not frighten her, and it certainly didn't scare us away either. We accepted them, we reached out and embraced them.
For over 40 years, Miss Hanisch shared her expertise by coaching hundreds of Port Richmond students, both male and female, in the skills of various sports games as well as good sportsmanship. Miss Hanisch, along with Miss Petra Catella, served as the faculty advisors for the cheerleading squad. They held rigorous tryouts with high academics as a prerequisite to make the team. They coached the girls to victory in several local cheering contests, as well as the NYC Public School Championship Cheering Contest in 1959 at Madison Square Garden. In 1963, Miss Hanisch was the only female coach for the boys bowling in the Public School Athletic League. She coached them to win second place in the citywide tournament that year. Miss Hanisch was a pioneer in incorporating women and women's sports into the PSAL. As a result of Miss Hanisch's efforts, Port Richmond High School was awarded the Winthrop Trophy for 11 consecutive years. This trophy was awarded to the NYC Public School that had the highest percentage of female students participating in sports. At the time, there were 127 girls participating.
I believe that she was a key player, not only for Port Richmond High School, but for women's sports across Staten Island, actually the city, and the PSAL.
During the 1950s and 1960s, Miss Hanisch was a formidable advocate for equality between males and females and how the NYC Public School Athletic League recognized and allocated funds for sports and teams. In addition to her teaching and coaching duties, Miss Hanisch was the coordinator of student activities before it was a title. She organized all student activities, including assemblies, award ceremonies, student-faculty sports games, special events, and graduation exercises. Miss Hanisch was also a community activist. During World War II, she helped organize bowling and golfing demonstrations that raised money for the American Red Cross, Staten Island Community Chest, and the U.S. Army Hospital that existed on the site now occupied by the College of Staten Island campus. Miss Hanisch made such an impression on her students that some of them came back to Port Richmond to be her colleagues. In August of 1952, she won the SIGA Women's Golf Crown, and in 1954, she won the Silver Lake Ladies Championship. In recognition of her exemplary work as an educator, coach, and student advocate, Miss Mildred E. Hanisch is being honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
I haven't been on the stage in a long time, but it's a joy to be here today. And it is especially joyful that I get to accept this very wonderful honor on behalf of Mildred "Millie" Hanisch. We're here today, and you've heard some already, but others to come, about some extraordinary people who have made extraordinary donations, we could call them, to the communities in which they live. So we come really to remember and to celebrate and to say thank you for the wonderful contributions that Port Richmond graduates have made, not only in their personal lives, but in the corporate world as well. I come especially to talk about Millie. Millie Hanisch was, and some of you are here today know this, a force of nature. She was a very strong woman, well ahead of her time, and in her own right, a fantastic athlete, particularly in golf and bowling. And she brought those skills to her students here at Port Richmond. She wore many hats. She was first and foremost a teacher, and she loved it. And if you don't love what you're doing, folks, whatever you're doing, get out, because you've got to love what you're doing in order to do it well. She wore many hats. So she was a teacher, she was a coach. Some of those shots that you saw, I picked out very quickly two great golfers, Stevie Zuntag and Skip Tellefson, to name a few. I saw a few cheerleaders, and I know there are some of you out here today. Nancy, wherever you are, hello. And she got results because she taught by example. Teacher, coach for young men and young women. Did you notice that there were young women with golf clubs in their hands? Folks, this was brand new to public education. She was a mentor and a nurturer. I can name two of her students, Terry Tanzash DeFazio and Milkowski, Sue Burrows, who were her students but went on to study physical education and came back and actually worked with her in the third floor gym for many years. Mentor. She was so many things. She was before they had a title for the student activities, Mr. Medugno, got a credit to you. She did all that stuff, organizing the graduations, service activities, special events, and did that for many, many, many years. In the school and in the community, she had an impact on people's lives. But if I wanted to sum her up in one word, the word would be pioneer, because that's what she was. Long before Title IX, Millie was advocating for equity in young women's sports, and she started it here at Port Richmond High School, and it soon spread throughout the 5 boroughs. For 11 consecutive years, Port Richmond High School was awarded a special trophy, the Winthrop Trophy, for having the highest percentage of young women participating in sports. 11 years in a row. And the other years, they either finished second or third, so they were always in the ball game. Consider this. That's 11% of the student body. 11%. There were only 1,067 students in the whole building. Many of them got their start in sports, not just group sports, but individual sports. Listen, I can tell you from experience, after a certain point, you're not going to be playing a team sport. You got to have some focus on an individual sport. She stressed that. Her forward thinking, her determination paid off. She just wouldn't say, accept no for an answer. And the many accolades that our young women are receiving in Port Richmond High School today, she would be so happy. She would rejoice with you, because that's so important, and you are to be congratulated. Now, I say thank you to you on her behalf. And as well, she would say to all of the inductees today, well done. You've made Port Richmond proud. But Port Richmond gave you your beginning, and it was a unique environment for all of us, those of us who taught and those of us who learned together. Unique, because this student body has always been a true reflection of the demographics of Staten Island across all lines: racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, religion. We do have that kind of mix, and that's something very, very special. It should be treasured, and it should be passed on. And I'm happy to say that I see that happening all the time. I am never at a loss for words when somebody says to me on Forest Avenue or at one of the reunions, "How's Port Richmond doing?" I'm always proud to say they're doing great. and they still maintain that wonderful spirit of family and fellowship, because the people who graduate from this school know, as the gentleman before me indicated, that they can do anything they put their minds to. They got the beginning here, they got the encouragement here, and they got the affirmation here. You want it? Work for it. Do it. And you will be one who has made the world in which we live a better place for everybody. Thank you so much.
And now Mr. Greenfield will present the 20-year Distinguished Service Awards.
Hello again. For those of you who don't know, one of the problems facing the New York City Department of Education is teacher retention. So many teachers within the first 5 years of teaching give up on teaching because it's too hard and it's not what they thought it was going to be. It's not just 8 to 2 and summers off and lots of vacations, but teaching is one of the hardest professions there are. And I couldn't be more proud that this year we have 10 teachers who are marking 20 years at Port Richmond High School. Some of these teachers have been teaching for even 30 years, but they've been here for the last 20, and they've kind of made this their home, and it's my hope that they will continue to stay here for the rest of their career. So I'm going to ask each honoree to come up and receive their plaque, and if we can, just kind of stand on the stage so we can get all of the honorees up at once after everybody gets their plaque. So first and foremost, I would like to welcome Miss Natasha DiMartino, social studies teacher, 20 years. Next up, special education social studies teacher, Drita Katzak. Speech teacher, Fran Riozzi Gatto. Spanish teacher and technology specialist, Alfredo Roman. Math teacher, P-Tech coordinator, and jack of all trades, Mr. Michael Spaventa. Guidance counselor extraordinaire, Mr. Michael Thomas. special education teacher, cafeteria dean, varsity head football coach, Louis Vesey. I'm going to embarrass her. She's been my friend for 30 years. She's been at Port Richmond High School for 20, and she is my right hand. Our assistant principal of organization, careers, and fine arts, Suzanne Woodman.
Our next inductee is Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Pride, who will be escorted to the stage by R.J. Ordaz.
Matthew D. Pride, a native of Staten Island, began his journey to Port Richmond long before walking our hallowed halls. Mr. Pride watched all of his siblings' success through their experiences here and looked forward to beginning his own journey. While a high school student, Mr. Pride played 2 years of varsity men's basketball and 1 year of varsity men's volleyball, serving as team captain for both teams during his senior year. He also participated in the school's JROTC program all 4 years, finishing as battalion commander, the program's most senior cadet rank. Mr. Pride was elected student body vice president and earned a position on the school's permanent honor roll.
People that I interacted with at Port Richmond High School inspired me on a path that I am now still journeying. So it means the world to me.
Upon graduation, Mr. Pride enrolled in the United States Military Academy Preparatory School from 2001 to 2002, where he was selected over his peers to serve as battalion commander for one academic quarter and then company commander for another quarter. He then moved to the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. As a cadet at USMA, Mr. Pride earned a spot on the West Point Boxing Club, where he boxed in the National Collegiate Boxing Association, earning free collegiate All-American honors, including a 2-time national runner-up and 1-time national championship title in the 156-pound weight class in 2005. Upon graduation from USMA in 2006, he received a commission as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army Engineers branch, as well as earned a bachelor's degree in environmental geography.
He deployed twice to combat, once in Iraq in 2008 and a second time to Afghanistan in 2013.
Lieutenant Colonel Pride also continued his studies, earning a master's degree in engineering management from Missouri University of Science and Technology in 2012, and an additional master's degree in strategic studies from the Command and General Staff College in 2017. Lieutenant Colonel Pride currently serves on active duty as a professor of military science at the City College of New York, where he teaches military science and is director for the Senior Reserve Officers Training Corps for City University of New York.
He uses lessons from his military career to describe his own unique approach to leadership, which aims at connecting with others.
Lieutenant Colonel Pride grounds leadership upon long-standing traditional principles to describe for students what occurs in reality when a person is entrusted with the responsibility of leadership. Among his many accolades, Lieutenant Colonel Pride has earned the Bronze Star Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, Meritorious Service Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters, Army Commendation Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, Army Achievement Medal, Afghanistan and Iraq Campaign Medals, Humanitarian Service Medal, and the Parachutist Badge. Lieutenant Colonel Pride currently resides in Morris County, New Jersey, with Christina, his wife of 18 years, and their 6 children. In recognition of his extraordinary leadership and service to our country, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew D. Pride is being honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
I don't even know who that guy was, so. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for being out here for this special occasion. And I would like to begin my remarks this evening first by drawing attention to the incredible performances we witnessed thus far this evening by the incredible students, the color guard, the impressive battalion of cadets that are here today, as well as the incredible performances by our band here. It's incredible to witness and to watch, and I'll say that you bring elegance and excellence to this evening's event, so thank you very much. Next, I would like to thank our generous host, Principal Greenfield, and all the assistant principals present this evening, and those unable to make it, to the administrative staff present, the technical support for this evening, the janitorial staff, and all those who occupy an unsung role in this evening's event. I just want to offer my thanks. Thanks for your commitment and untiring support to the Hall of Fame class of honorees, to the students of this fine institution, to their parents, to the Port Richmond High School community. So thank you for everything you've done to make this event possible. Next, I would like to recognize all the inductees being honored this evening. I am honored and humbled to be counted among your ranks. I read through your accomplishments. Like others, I am amazed at your achievements. It is an honor to be thought worthy to share in your glory. You are remarkable, each in your own right, and I stand among many this evening in awe of your tireless efforts to strengthen the weak and to elevate the lowly through service and sacrifice. So thank you. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize my family this evening. I have the honor of having my mother present, along with many of my sisters and their families, and of course, my dear wife and our children. Where would I be were it not for their efforts to sustain me when times were hard? Just 2 days ago, in fact, we marked the 4-year anniversary of my father's passing from this life to the next. He died at just a short distance from this stage, in his home a few blocks from here, yet his presence could not be felt any stronger. I owe thanks to him, to my mom, to my sisters and my brothers. Most especially, I owe gratitude to my wife, Christina, who endured many nights of me deployed in combat or at some training event or other duties which forced me to be away from our home and from our children. We have been apart longer than I ever wanted, yet our time together is always as if we have never spent any time apart whatsoever. And I'm so grateful to you, and I love you. I love all of you, and thank you. This evening, I want to leave you with just one image. That is of a bridge. Bridges are unique artifacts of human ingenuity. At some point in our earliest ancestral history, our forebears reached an edge of some impassable journey, of some divide, whether the edge of a river or a chasm or a gulf that made travel impossible. I imagine generations of our ancestral travelers stopped whenever they reached such an obstacle and might have accepted that it was not their fate to advance. They would have made do, but simple platform bridges are evidence that there are those among us who will not stop at the first divide they encounter, but rather, through grit, creativity, courage, and ingenuity, they will span any gap to advance in their journey, to bring others along, to discover new worlds and new possibilities. As obstacles to discovery became greater and greater, the reaches of human ingenuity advanced, and bridges became ships, and then airplanes, and then rocket ships. But bridges symbolize something greater. Once you cross a bridge, there's a moment where one pauses to look back on the distance traveled, to look around at those alongside for the journey, and to look forward at the path that lies ahead. Looking back is a form of memory. Looking around at those alongside is a reminder of friendship. Looking ahead is a form of hope. At every point of my life, this symbol of a bridge seemed ever present. As a high school student, the great shadow of the Bayonne Bridge often fell on the building. The school used it as a symbol to call to mind how students confronted with the major obstacle in education and formation by crossing over from childhood to manhood, to young adulthood, from secondary education to higher education was possible. And following my time at the United States Military Academy at West Point, I commissioned as an Army engineer, and my first assignment was assuming responsibility of a horizontal construction unit charged with restoring blown roadways and bridges in Iraq. Now, at the end of my career, I'm assigned as a professor of military science at City College of New York, where Dr. Pride is her alma mater, and I couldn't help but take notice of a very interesting seal of that institution. And I would encourage you to look this up, but the seal of the first free public institution of higher education in the United States, which is City College of New York, is a head with three faces. The three-faced college seal refers to Janus. And Janus is a Roman god of beginnings, whose face connected the past to the present, into the future. Janus is where we get the word January, which is the beginning month of a new year. The seal bears three Latin words that correspond directly to each face. The face in one direction symbolizes respis, which means look back, while the face of the opposite direction symbolizes prospis, which means look ahead. And the face in the middle that looks straight on symbolizes adspis, which means look now. The seal reminds of that moment when a traveler has just crossed a bridge and stops to look back and invoke memory, to look ahead, hope, and to look around, friendship. And at this point in my career, having spanned the gap of over 20 years of active federal military service, being faced with this great honor of induction into the Hall of Fame of this esteemed school, that was the first bridge I crossed into manhood. I am tempted to think of this moment as a summit, but it's not a summit of some imaginary mountain, but it's just another bridge. As I look back, I'm so humbled at all the sacrifices others have made to aid me on my journey. As I look around, even now in the audience, I see friends and family who accompanied me and supported me and mentored me and guided me and directed me on my journey. And as I look ahead with great hope for the future, I am encouraged by the tradition of grit and creativity and courage and ingenuity that has characterized the very best of human nature, a legacy of great souls who faced many challenges and yet crossed many divides. And as I accept the honor and cross the bridge to be inducted as a member of the Hall of Fame class of 2025 for this great institution, I consider it an opportunity to not only look back or to look ahead or even to look now, but perhaps most significant of all, to look within and to encourage each of you to do the same. And in doing so, I am humbled at this invitation to become a bridge for others who are on their own journey in life. And so I want to thank you very much for this incredible honor. I'm so grateful for your friendship and for your witness and encouragement, and I love you each. God bless Port Richmond High School, and God bless America.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Pride. Before we bring up our final inductee, I'd just like to thank Mr. Meduno and our media arts students who have put together everything you see on the screen back here tonight. For our final inductee of the evening, I'd like to ask student Christopher Jefferson to please bring up inductee Saidu Ezike.
Saidu Ezike attended Port Richmond from 2000 and 2004. He was immediately drawn to our sports program and fell in love with track. Mr. Ezike was coached by Barry Bastion, Vinnie Giles, and Eileen Mitchell, who were pivotal in his growth as a runner.
She went out of her way to put me into the track meets where the most competition was.
While running for the Public School Athletic League, Mr. Ezike won the outdoor 110-meter hurdle and still currently holds the record in the PSAL as the second fastest high school hurdler of all time in the New York State. His record-setting time was 13.76 seconds.
At one point, I was actually the fastest in the country. I think I ended up being third in the country that year, and then I won nationals my senior year.
Mr. Ezike was among the nominees for the most athletic in the yearbook when he graduated in 2004. After graduation, Mr. Ezike went on to Cornell University, where he continued bringing home additional championships.
He won several national, city, and state championships, as well as the All-American Indoor Track Championship twice.
He won the Ivy League Indoor Championship 3 times, as well as the Outdoor 110-meter hurdle. Mr. Ezike was an NCAA Eastern Regional qualifier for the Outdoor 100-meter hurdle all 4 years at Cornell, as well as a qualifier for the Indoor 60-meter hurdle. He was also the second-team All-American and set Ivy League records at 60 and 110 meters. Mr. Ezike holds 5 school records at Cornell. He was named to All-American teams as a 110-meter hurdler by Adidas and US Today.
We never had any doubt that he was going to be anything less than successful. He was an incredible runner, an incredible athlete, and an all-around great guy.
After college, Mr. Ezike began working for Teach for America in the Simon Grad School in Philadelphia, where he taught algebra and geometry. After 10 years, Mr. Ezike began working in the Tutoring and Learning Center in Columbia University. This nonprofit organization worked to ensure that high school students were academically ready to succeed in college. Mr. Ezike also worked on another passion of his in 2012, music. In 2014, he formed a hip-hop band called CRS Culture. They played at the Afro Punk Festival in 2017 and opened for Tank and Bangers, as well as the Hypnotic Brass Ensemble. CRS Culture's first album, Majesty, was released in 2022 and is available on Spotify.
They are currently working on a follow-up album, expected to be available this summer.
In 2018, Mr. Ezike was honored with the Staten Island Triple Crown for track and field. In 2023, Mr. Ezike was inducted into the Staten Island Sports Hall of Fame, where he was placed among the greatest athletes Staten Island has ever seen. In recognition of numerous achievements as an athlete, coach, and musician, Mr. Saidu Ezike is being honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
How y'all doing this evening? Fantastic, fantastic. You know, one thing I learned in life is that every interaction that you have is for a reason. When my parents first moved to Staten Island, and I went to PS 22, I was wondering, I was like, wow, Staten Island, of all places that I moved to. Went to IS 51 and then came to Port Richmond, and immediately I realized that it was home. Every interaction that I had with every teacher continued to build me as a man. And I would have never become the person who I am today without Port Richmond. And so I have to give a thank you to Port Richmond. But I also want to just make sure I give it thanks to sort of everyone who helped put this together, because I know there was people working behind the scenes to make sure that I'm here today, and I really, really want to thank them all. And I also really want to thank you all for being here and just sort of embracing this. I see that the track team is here, which I would love to continue to build with them, because I once was there as well, just running the hallways of Port Richmond. And one thing that I realized as moving to Georgia and coaching myself actually was that we had to do a lot to make sure that we succeeded at the highest level. I remember those days when I would shovel the track just to make a lane and then grab some hurdles and go over some hurdles to make sure that I did what I needed to do to get to where I needed to get to. I want to thank all my teachers at Port Richmond. I remember I did a project with Mr. DeFazio where we couldn't speak on the phone, and I remember how crazy that drove my parents, who I have to give thanks to. I have to give thanks to my parents because they literally brought me here and then brought me here. The sacrifices that they made behind the scenes were just making sure that we had food, we were able to actually train, and actually able to just succeed at the highest level academically. I can't thank them enough, both my mother and my father. I want to thank my lovely wife, Ebony, who's in the crowd here, as well as my lovely daughter, Saida. Those two, yes, please make noise for them. Those two continue to be an inspiration and sort of help me continue to sort of drive to do the best I can and make sacrifices for the sake of them as well. He's not here, but I want to thank Coach Bastian for introducing me to the hurdles. Because literally when I came on the track team, I just came because I said, hey, I want to get in shape of football. Not knowing that track would be my thing that would really bring me to Cornell and through Cornell and really be instrumental in my life. I want to thank Coach Vinny for helping build that, what we call that camp mindset, really where I was able to do whatever it took to make sure I got to where I need to get to. And I have to thank, and she is here, I want to thank Coach Mitchell, because I mentioned this on the tape as well. Yes, make some noise for her, absolutely. But I want to reiterate that she also went above and beyond. I mean, just give me the opportunity to train at the Armory, giving me an opportunity to actually be in some of the track meets. So Golden West was actually a track meet in California. And they were a little bit hesitant to actually have me in the meet. And she fought behind the scenes to make sure I ran in that meet. And that was the meet where I ran my best time against the best competition. And so I can't thank Coach Mitchell enough. And she's always actually been there, even over the summer when I worked with Coach Vinny. So again, I can't thank her enough. And it's interesting because I actually became a track coach myself, and I was able to work with some athletes who are currently in college at various colleges, including South Florida, Boston College, USC, University of Georgia, and I'm just grateful for really being instilled that killer instinct mindset, that camp mindset that really made me get to where I need to get to. I also want to really thank Cornell. Because when I went to Cornell, that's actually where I discovered music. So funny enough, a lot of people say, oh, I must have been doing it since I was young, but I actually discovered it in college. One of my track team members kind of sort of introduced me to it, and I fell in love with it. And I actually met my wife through music, and she also is a rapper herself, and that's how we really connected. And we're continuing to sort of do that, and I feel like this is only the beginning. And so I really, really want to thank I also want to give a shout out to Laura, who was actually my prom date at Paul Richmond many years ago, and she came here to support, and I really, really, really appreciate that. Want to thank my younger brother actually, who also ran track and was a legendary athlete himself, so he was a triple jumper as well. And then I also want to thank all my competitors and all my classmates. Because those are the people who really, really sort of, aside from being friends with them, they really drove me to be who I am now. Also want to thank Vinny Bedugno here. As they mentioned, childhood friend. So it's interesting that Vinny is here because we used to do like WWE back in the day, and he used to. It's beautiful that he's actually sort of in his role now because he was always coordinating things. Whether we would go and we would have the fake ring and do all those things. I know I'm embarrassing him a little bit. He's like, oh man, so many years ago. But it's beautiful to see sort of what we've blossomed to. And we actually, last year, had our sort of reunion. And at our reunion, we actually talked about this moment. Where we said, hey, it'd be really cool if Saidu was in the Hall of Fame. And I'm here today. So I have to thank you for helping making that happen. And so I also want to say that sort of I'm a man of God, and so I've always been in the church, but a couple of years ago I got re-baptized in Georgia, and it was a beautiful moment because it got me to really keep in touch with sort of myself and who I am, and I had a reflection and I had a thought back to the time where I got baptized here at Christ United Methodist Church, and I realized that there's such a connection between family. And everybody here, regardless of how many times we've seen each other, how often we communicate, we are one family, right? So when we say one nation under God, that truly is a thing. And so everybody here, whether I've seen you once or I've seen you twice or a bunch of times, I just want to know that you are all family. And so I want to thank you all for being here and for all being in my life. And so thank you so much. And take care.
All right. Our Alumni Board President, Mr. Joe Crescenzi, will now formally install the inductees.
Hey there. So before I read the formal installation, I just want to comment on what the Alumni Association is, what it was, and it's going to be in the future. I've been a member of the Alumni Association for over 20 some odd years on the board, And when we first started out, our main role was kind of small. We helped with just organizing things like reunions and things like that. And then we helped keep the permanent honor rolls up and some things like that. We have other programs to get scholarships for students, and that's something a lot of people don't realize we do. And if you can look up our information on the web, you'll find we donated like 50 some odd thousand through donations from people like you and from other alumni over the years, and it's an important part of what we do. But about 16 years ago, or actually it started 17 or so years ago, we decided we were going to build the Hall of Fame. And as Mr. Greenfield said, it was a little difficult at first trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do? What's it going to look like? How many people are we going to have up there? Every single year, we have a massive list of people who have walked through these same halls, walked through the same doors, sat in the same classes, and they've gone on to some great things. And we want to recognize them, and we're so proud that we've recognized them. As he mentioned before, we have Pulitzer Prize winners, we have people who have gone on to really great things, and today we honor another great group. So this is where we make it formal. This is where we read the formal installation. So what I ask for is the inductees, will you please rise? The inductees, please rise. I'm going to formally induct you, install you, and then we're going to go upstairs and see the actual plaques. It's a great thing. You're going to love that. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as a representative of the Port Richmond High School Alumni Association, I am honored to present the 2025 inductees for the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. These inductees represent the very best values and traditions of our great school. Your lifetime accomplishments, contributions to our local and global community, and strong values bring honor and great distinction to our school. It is with great pride that I honor you now and forever by officially proclaiming you as members of the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Congratulations. So now we'll take a trip over to the unveiling of the plaques on our Hall of Fame wall. The best way to get there is out the back door and just making right-hand turns, and you will definitely love our the food put out by Chef Ryan, Chef Mulvey, and Chef Casella. Thank you all for attending tonight.